Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here, talking to you about this new moon stellium actually happening in Taurus on the 8th of May. It is now the 3rd, so we've got about 5 days to get things right and to get things sorted and organized. So the main question, the main quantum that I'm very interested about during this particular time is, are we there yet to respect life for what she is? And to give back in a way that also benefits us and the greater collective. Are we wise enough? Can we do better? Can we make organic and humble choices? Can we be good people? So it is all just about the give and take of life. It is about having healthy, good, and caring habits. It's about being a caring person. It's not just about what you can ingest, what you can receive, and how your actions also in the past couple of months have been paid off. It's not just about payments. It's not just about how much fun or how much time you get to spend doing what you love. It is not necessarily not about that, but it is not the point. The point is equilibrium and a certain type of continuum that we are able to manage. The things that matter, it is about the groundwork of things. It is about healthy choices, and it's about a healthy equilibrium also between what you want and what you've got, and also in some ways it is about cutting corners and also being careful with spending or careful with how much you wish for. In certain cases it is about kind of pushing the limits and getting what you want in the end, as this Mars is very ambitious in Aries and he's going right towards the North Node. So you can kind of see why we're also speaking and thinking about how to make it matter and how to make it even more good and more proper and how to get what we want. But I'm also kind of feeling it should just all be here. It should just be given. There is no real way to say it without people feeling it, or just without feeling it. It's not easy for those people that are constantly on overdrive or waiting for something big. If you are constantly cooking and cleaning, doing things around the house, if you have a constant network of people, if you've worn yourself out, or if you are in the process of also decay or separation due to burnout, or due to certain types of infections that come from excess, such as candida, such as certain funguses and things, there is a real big deal maybe for you that is happening during this time, which is a sign of excess. So for example, if you're holding space for too many people, if you're after way too much, if you want a greater, bigger, or more joyous life than what is given, I would not go further. It is a sign of toxicity. It's also a sign of bad behavior during this time to shun what you've got and say that it isn't really there and that you can actually do much better. To look upon each other selfishly and to also continue certain obsessive cycles and also cycles of disbelief. For example, doing things and constantly keeping up, making things happen, doing things constantly, regularly, just to help yourself to that which you think you need, which is a sign of danger during these times. Even if you're incredibly rich and if you like to play the game and you're thinking, what else can I have? It is still a dangerous time to input so much and to become much bigger, much pushier, much plusher, much greater than you've ever been before. This need to be Superman, this need to be evolved past the previous standards, beyond belief, this need to be suddenly super quantic and super wise, and to have everything at your disposal is a sign of ill, and it's not a sign of grandeur at all. So also human beings that are constantly wondering about other people. They want to know if somebody else is as evolved as they are. They're measuring their waistlines, they're measuring their success, their bank accounts, a measurement of any kind. People comparing children, people comparing spouses, people comparing where they were and where they've been to what they have now. It's not a great success that they have in their story, or they're not doing it right, or they're going the wrong way. So how do you get yourself back to center, and what is this time actually promising? What is it about? It is about sustainable results. It is about practical thinking patterns. It's about knowing how things work and what is the biological, mathematical, simple life based, nature-based, organic quality to things, you know. So without knowing what is real and what is not, some things are not going to be. But here we have an obsession with thrill. We have an obsession with giant ideas and giant personalities. We also have things that are over the top. And as of course you know, for example, eating at a buffet every single day will, you know, give you issues. And doing so many things at once will, of course, overwhelm the system and such. So it's not just about less is more, it's just about normal, organic, natural results and facts of life and the truth of everyday moment. And it is about normal, tangible things. If you don't like that, I'm sorry. I know we do have Venus in Taurus, and she does like to impress. And there's a feeling going on with this month, also especially with Pluto at a sextile to Mars that will be amplified. There is a need to do something extreme. Sometimes a person doesn't just want a dress, they want the dress. You know, they don't want a home, they want the home. They are tired of being in amongst, even if just last month you were struggling. And you were counting your blessings and you were saying, thank you, God, for everything I've got. There's still going to be a wave. And a wave is going to take some people further than they think. And in certain cases, the more conscious and confident and simple and sometimes pious or virtuous you are, the greater the bounty. The lower the expectations, I wouldn't say lower expectations, the more normal and centered your expectation of life, the more normal, fruitful, bouncy, joyful, and healthy is your result, or the luckier is your result. There is no need to go above a level. There is no need to step it up. Taurus does not like it when we rush in front of a crowd, when we want to do something extra. Taurus doesn't really necessarily judge us for it, but it will not help you. So if you are extra agile, if you're extra quick on your feet, and you want to do things now or yesterday, that's going to be not necessary for you. So also shameful landings, shameful beginnings, or just a change of heart that suddenly happens, and also people doing things that are not really about them. They are you know, fulfilling an audience, or they're doing something for one another, kind of in the midst of other things. Lack of clarity and lack of mental understanding of things can bring about a certain type of energy and a certain type of quota that maybe will not be necessary in the end. It will not be about us and about our success. It will be just about something or somebody else. So be careful. You might also be paving a way for somebody else and not doing it for yourself. So what I mean is, some people could be masking the fact that they don't have any truth or real center of gravity to them, and they could be working, talking, thinking, feeling, doing, making money, making plans, and working without knowing why they're doing it. And sometimes people are doing it for humanity, for other people, for their kids, or they even think they're doing it for themselves, but they don't actually get to benefit from their results. So let's talk about this. When you are doing something and you're pretty sure you need to do it, but actually at the end of the day you won't like the result, or somebody else will just go ahead and take the prize. You're not doing it for you, you're doing it for somebody else. Okay. There might be also a lot of people not knowing how to face the fact that they didn't get anything from their path before, or they've put a lot of energy and dharma into something that they didn't actually really see grow. This could also be in terms of children and children's children, like where is that potential going, or where are you now considering where you thought you would be before. So there's quite a big question mark in the making, and the question mark might be, don't you want to do it for yourself? Do you not want to get a little bit selfish? Now, selfishness is interesting because this comes in many layers, and as explained earlier in the May video, there are people that think they want something, but it is just based on some quintessential pattern that they've picked up from society, their mum and dad, or somebody else. It's not actually anything to do with them or what they actually really like or want. Now, what a person really wants is inside of their sensory palette. What they really like is inside of their sensory palette and their animal instincts. We don't like that stuff. We like to dress it up. We like to put some makeup on it. We like to put it in a corset or put it in a bag. We don't want to see it. We don't want to see the ugly or the unsightly spectrum of the human being. We want it all to be very much pruned and primed and put together just the way that other people would feel more comfortable with. So we basically are walking into cyborg time, people themselves becoming more like cyborgs and wishing to be near that feeling of perfection or that feeling of being adequate when they're kind of not, because their center point is wrong, it's lost. So this is about the upside down pentagram and just doing nothing for yourself but everything for somebody else. So how do you exist if you suddenly wake up and you go, I'm doing everything, or I've done everything for somebody else? I don't actually really understand how any of this has anything to do with me. Let's try to come back to your sensory palette. Stand under a shower, what do you feel? Put your feet on the sand, or put your feet on the grass, what do you feel? You know, or in the snow, wherever you're living. Touch your heart, what do you feel? Eat something, what do you feel? Don't just chew and think or chew and talk, like really feel what you're feeling. It's a really great and admirable time to just get to know who you are through your sensory palette and not say no to it. Although I do understand if somebody now wakes up in the story, it's harsh, it's hardcore. For example, you wake up to the reasons why you did anything, why you made this family, why you built this home, and it suddenly just doesn't make any sense to you. How do you cope with that? So I'm not telling you necessarily to be fearful, but there are some very thrusting, big, voluptuous energy coming through this time, and they're not all of pleasure or hope. For some people it is about like mental illness coming back. For some people it's about not making ends meet and suddenly understanding that nothing matters. So here we have to try to make things feel okay and good. So safety and respect, staying at home, getting into bed, sleeping it off sometimes. Yin is the energy of Taurus, especially this time around. It's about receptivity and receiving things. It's about being grateful for what you've got and understanding the simple truths. Like, for example, last year I was looking for a place and I couldn't find one that would fit me. And now I live in the most perfect house in the world. And I'm so happy that I'm here. Okay, great. Like, for example, last 2 years was really hard with love. And then I made a pact with myself and the story changed. Now I feel absolutely good and pure about what love means to me and such, you know. So you have to just maybe grieve it out. Grief is something that comes back sometimes during these times. So grieve it out if you haven't felt stable enough, if you don't know where the forest is for the trees, you don't see the forest for the trees, you don't see yourself adequately, or you don't know why you've done what you've done. For example, you have maybe committed even a crime against yourself for who you are. For example, you've given everything away to somebody else. You donated your whole life for no reason. Or, for example, you had surgery that you didn't actually need. So also Chiron, North Node being in a shadow, Mercury being close to Chiron, interesting to get revisions on old surgeries and understand you didn't have to get those surgeries, or you didn't have to take those pills, and feeling karma, feeling hard done. It's like, wow, I've put myself through a lot. Now, let's not disfigure and let's not get dark about things. The main thing is basically to change your questions so the answers will be more appropriate. So in some situations, people don't really know how to ask things. They don't know how to question life. They don't know how to discern. Their senses could be conditional. They have moralistic ideas or pursuits in front of them that are very, very tough and strong. Despite what they're feeling and actually sensing, despite of what their nervous system is telling them. And some people may say, well, if I really actually answered my body and if I really got to know it, I would probably say to hell with all of this. And that's correct. So how do we wake us up as a species? How do we draw humanity out of the grasp of danger? Sorry, I'm a little bit dramatic today. How do we grasp the situation? How do we make sure that we leave unconscious situations, unconscious money spending or making, unconscious talking, unconscious eating habits, unconscious addictions? How do we leave a part of you that also is a subservient part that has no respect for itself if you've got one of those problems? How do we make it real, and how do we make it work out in the end for all of us? And as I said earlier in previous videos, it's not just about you. It's not just about you and your manifestation and your life and how it works. It's about a common goal sometimes. It's about all of it working together. at the end of the day, and one hand is rubbing the other, and to some degree it is about partnerships, and it is about homes and families and security, but it's also about the greater universe, which is a big giant living, breathing being that does itself upon itself. So in a sense, it's about the co-creative process that happens between all beings. It's not just about us humans having our little narratives and fairy tales. It's also like a strong feeling to have this. It's a hard feeling to have this. It is all beings at once living a coexistence, okay? And this might actually make you not very nervous in the end, but for now it might be really scary to think that even the walls have eyes and every single creature is alive and is conscious. You know, recently I saw a little article on Facebook saying, did you know the scientists discovered that insects have personalities and they enjoy doing things and they have like play and they have fun, you know, they do things, you know, because they enjoy it. So wow, imagine insects having lives despite their natural instincts and just survival. They have lives, they also have fun. It's like, how do you feel about going ahead and squishing that ant, or you know, wiping out that spider? Maybe it's a different lifetime altogether, actually, if you think about this. Also, just a little bit of a skew. I had a person recently, last couple of days, come to me and they talked about not having empathy, and they were worried about how people might look upon it. And the thing is, empathy lives in your brain, it's a part of your brain, and it's a feeling of how other energies feel. Sometimes people have unique empathy, even for the carrots in their fridge, or the water outside when it's raining, or how animals feel, all animals. And then, you know, coming back to, like, say, the modern age and modern curiosity for spirituality. Okay, like the Jain religion in India, they would sometimes walk with a broom, sweeping the floor before they set steps on the floor in case they squish a bug. So that's a very great feeling and comfort to me that this still happens in the world, and people are not just thinking, does this look good to others if I did this or that? So where do you really start getting a grasp on yourself, your feelings, what you do and do not need in this universe during this particular moon? Is just see it this way. How far have you come as a being? Also, what do you really know, what you don't, and what are you maybe masking? We're all kind of babies. The year has just begun in Aries. It's not just about making sense, and it's not about looking good in front of each other, my God. It's about having a really undoubtful quality experience and getting into the full body and getting into its sensory palette and understanding it for what it is. And also understanding everything for what it's worth. So things are no longer about brands and where you buy things from. Things are no longer about what other people might think about what you've got. It's about quality. And it's also about a certain type of seclusion and a silence sometimes, and really revealing to yourself as to who you are to yourself and what are your inner worths and values within who you are. So let's talk a little bit about this, if you like. There is a lot of hope, and also there is a nervousness during this time as we don't yet fully understand the quantums or the misalignments of our world. We not yet learn it. Now let's come back to this. Maybe we have created great leaps and bounds, even if you're a neuroscientist listening to me right now, and you say, oh my God, I've gone through like a couple of degrees to get here. Yeah, that's great, but like there are also things that we may have lost along the way. So in our paths, modern day paths and modern day global history, sure, we have gained and we've qualified a lot of things, but look, the world is falling apart as simply it is unsustainable, and people will argue with this. And I will say, yeah, soldiers' population is just like the amount of abuse that is going on in the world to support certain type of quality of life. So yeah, we can talk brands, we can talk organic or inorganic, we can talk animal cruelty, we can talk, you know, peace sign, yeah, we can do this. Then we are also actually maybe not really fully feeling, as I'm pretty sure most of my audience probably would feel something here, but sometimes I get a surprise. There is really a needed, necessary change or ending to certain things in the global world. There are also really big changes that we need to make to ourselves in the world. We need to stop worrying and doing so much, writing so much, baking, cooking, fussing so much, and we need to somehow grow into a more astounding being, because come what may, Dragon is about upgrading and it's about being the mummy or the daddy-o form. It's like, what is it? Pikachu becoming Raichu, and then there's another form, isn't there? I am not very well versed at this, but it's like transforming into the next adjacent state. Either one, whichever you choose. And unfortunately, people do choose commodity and they choose to stay in their places. And on occasion, they would rather look great in front of each other and make it a parade while they're escaping themselves. And that is a very, very big burden for some people if they don't feel anything at all. So shall we reach out to that audience sector? I don't know. Feeling nothing at all. I have a good audio actually about this, about feeling nothing at all and not knowing who you are and why you are here, because you don't have any sensory connection to anything anymore, or you've just started to study people in the world and made it like a game of numbers, and you don't any longer want to participate in anything that other people are doing or risking their time for. Sure, that's also something that I've had for a while. It's an aspect of me as well, and a lot of other people that I've met during my journey. And that's becoming increasingly so with this kind of AI visual communication dependency that we have in our lives these days. Lots of it is just blah, 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 and it doesn't actually have any meaning or potency, as we are not sure in ourselves and we can't really take those steps yet, and we cannot really feel. So what is the good in anything if you don't feel a thing? Well, okay, back for our ancestors, having a meal for some of our ancestors was a good day. Having like a raw potato with a little bit of like watery soup, okay, in ancient England, not even medieval England, like in the 1700s, was amazing, okay. Having a place to sleep where nobody's trying to rob you or rape you would be a fantastic find for some people. Okay, back in the day, and maybe not so far back in the day for certain others. Having a risk-free environment, having anything to eat that you'd like, being able to say whatever you want, and being of focus and doing what you like. Imagine there used to be people working on farms or doing manual labor in the past that now are free to learn how to play violin, to making jigsaw puzzles all day if they like, to reading and learning and studying, or just, writing their own poems, or just sitting in the hammock and musing. There are lots of us that have come from that. Everybody's so aristocratic, so VIP today. But can you imagine also the majority of the world being from very niche hereditary systems, and not just systems but environments, and not having enough to eat, or not having any clothes, or not really having any shelter, was a reality for many of us in our previous lives, if you'd like to see it this way, or in our ancestry. So 200-300 years ago. Can you imagine what time was for us, what money was for us, what behavior was for us? How did we actually do it? So now a lot of these things are illegit, and we don't consider them stable. We don't see them as normal. And here we have supermarket shelves just booming with produce. We have people experiencing summer. In winter, they have heating. You have heating and cooling systems now that we didn't have before. You have cars where before it was horse and cart, or like a big bag on your back. So you see, we've got it. We really got it. So let's try and revel in the chance of knowing life a little bit differently. Let's be grateful. Let's have some kind of a strategy in this life also not to cause any harm, as you see a lot of our behaviors like air cooling or air heating. The petroleum in your car is at a great expense to your environment and your fellow beings, because their forest is being cut, the marine life is not too happy. Lots of things are happening in the world. Global warming, I'm not sure how I feel about this particular topic, but it is making big environmental changes in this world, and there are going to be some big questions about environment coming up in these months. So we have to really stay pure and cultured and connected and not rock the boat, but also please advise yourself and people around you to see things things differently. Let your body go and understand what it's feeling in your multi-million-dollar New York apartment. Even if you're living in complete luxury by today's standards, what are you doing? What are you giving yourself? Who's outside on the street? What type of people would you rather be around? Or where are you actually going? So here's the dealio. Here's the deal. It is a dangerous world out there. We have a weaker immune system than we've had last few, even 100 years. We're also making up. We're making new diseases and new types of psychosis as we are witnessing more and more illness and sickness in the world. And that is happening on tribal level as well. So it's like a community scream, and it's a question mark of what are we becoming and what have we become through the years, and what are all of these new temperatures and new ideas really doing for us all, and where are we from? So these are very big existential human biological questions we cannot answer today, but we can start to ask them. So instead of like, oh, I think I'm going to buy another box of perfume, or I'm going to, get some of this and that for my home, why don't you just, stop yourself in your tracks, pleasure seeking, finding exquisite things like lingerie or expensive soaps, doing things with other people that feel impressive to you or to them, making faces, lying and stealing, and doing things that are not necessary. Also stealing people's time, stealing people's energy, being somebody you don't need to be. Let's try to ground things in it. Just question very simple things like where you're from, where your ancestry from, do you know what they did 2 or 3 generations ago, do you know what it was like for them, how come they ended up living in the city or in the community that they're living in now, what have they given to you, and what have they brought to you, and also what have they brought to your attention, how have you been raised. If your mother, like my mother, raised you on Hollywood and famous celebrities, was it worth it? If your parents wanted you to go to a great school at the same time, having absolutely no empathy for anything or anyone, including them, why did you make yourself this? So this is a very, very, very big question. If you don't like this, I understand, but this is going to help give you grounding as we are approaching the root system of the chart. We are approaching the IC section, which is between Gemini and Cancer. Where are you from? Why are you here? What's home? Where are you really living? What for did you do this or that? Where are you stashing your money? Like, where did you come from as a human? Where did your ancestors come from? Why are you still where you need to be or do not need to be? So these are really big philosophical questions for people sometimes. I would start things small and thinking about the normal human day-to-day responses and respect for the body. Not many people have this maybe anymore. Maybe sometimes people don't like this because the minute that they really go into the feelings, they decide that they've got autism or some other neurological disorder. I'm sorry if this is offensive. People think there's something wrong with me, and they go into extreme depths of fear and emotions, or when they just know that their body doesn't feel good where it is. If you go outside and you smell the air, what does it smell like? Does it smell like roses, or does it smell like, I don't know, chicken livers? Does it smell like cigarettes? Does it smell like smoke? What does it smell like? And there are many, many tiny, tiny, very minute, almost like micro impulses and feelings that a lot of people are getting during this time that are very, very hard to explain. Like the quality of their mattress, where are they sleeping at night, loud neighbors, the water they're drinking, is it from under the tap, what's in that water, is it chlorinated, does it have something in it, do you have fibromyalgia by any chance, do you wish to know where it's from? So let's rein this in. I'm sorry if that sounds rude. Let's rein it in and question the normal day-to-day root base reasons why things are what they are. And a lot of this flurry, a lot of this lace and unnecessary action, or definitely unnecessary movements towards something greater, better, or worth your while is going to stop. So the need to pull yourself out with the root system from what you've got. Let's begin. Get a good water filter. Yeah, make sure that you're sleeping on good bedding. Yeah, if you have, for example, certain parasites in your body, you don't have to blame other people for ticking you off. Maybe it's just your body feeling nervous. Wish it would. If you have heart palpitations, so you have lack of breath or breathlessness, maybe you don't feel good on your body. Maybe there's a reason why. How about we go exploring, exposing those things? You don't necessarily need to, but maybe it is time to start to talk about your ailments or the things that you feel do or do not have any worth in your current existence. And sometimes it is actually in the home. It's the smells and the feelings and the audio signals in the home. Sometimes it is having Wi-Fi on all the time. Sometimes it could just be electricity. It could be the buzz coming from the city. It could be drinking water from the tap. As I said before, it could be wearing shoes with fungus in them. It could be making friends with people that don't hear you. It could be going to the same bus stop every day and being disgusted by the smell of urine and chattering people all the time. It could be just about noise and nonsense. So we're all kind of there. Every single person could say that they've got some kind of irritation or they feel increasingly irritable and lack of trust within themselves, so they don't know what it is for. And then the masking and the wow and the hullabaloo gets even more attractive and it gets even more over the top. People want more makeup on their face, people want bigger frills, they want a bigger home, they want to protect themselves from each other. And sometimes they want to just feel vulnerable for a minute, but they don't have the time. Like say telling your kids that you don't believe in their education is hard. Telling your kids you don't really feel anything for your partner anymore is hard. Like telling the truth to your partner, telling the truth to yourself, and the shame of it all. So let's not get into this. Let's get out of it. The sensory palette. What can you do, and or what have you during this time? And I do definitely see that there would be escapism, the need to eat as much as possible for some people, or to sleep somewhere where they haven't been before, to go on trips or vacations they can hardly afford, or to be around people that make them feel good, because those people are nervous as well. Being around nervous people or submissive people, very easy to be around somebody who's comparing to you and who feels uncomfortable about their life results and having that one-upmanship, so finding comfort in that, and also philosophies of each other. So what have I got to tell you? What have I got to help you with? I suppose is just about the neurological connection to your body and the feeling sane. And that will not happen until you feel absolutely good enough and fine with things how they are, and respect them as they have happened. Understand that you don't need to invent your life all over again. Not likely. That you need to just stay put. What for? Also, Uranus is very close to the sun. We are not going for Uranus yet, but there will come a time that will transform some people's lives, and that may never fully happen. This is a very aligned time unless you get humble and you stop being greedy and mean to each other. And we don't like that. We don't like this, as it doesn't feel like it has any cause and effect in today's society. It's like, oh girl, you kidding me? I'm like working with stocks. Like I just bought like my second iPad, and like my life is like, okay, plastic surgery and like going to the Bahamas. I just been to Dubai. This doesn't have anything to do with me. And that's okay. Sit down by yourself for an hour without your phone. Don't tell me what goes, what happens. If you like, you can do this now. This is a shortcut for anybody, especially if you have a super busy life and you're in and out of VIP lounges and you've got scary amount of money and you're so good and oh my gosh, sit down for an hour and just breathe and do your thing. Like, you are just doing you. You're not answering calls, you're not texting anybody, you're not playing Bubble Witch Saga, you're not doing anything, you're not masturbating, you're not annoying other people, you're just, grieving maybe. Grieving. I'm bored. What is boredom? What is boredom? If you can't sit by yourself for an hour empty, without having anxiety, that's a rare person. Fear and anxiety are going to start to sync up. Now, the fear and anxiety are actually a really good karmic thing, because they're here. If they are on the surface or they're easily accessible during a time like this, it is not just an urgency, but a great moment to see who you are, and a great moment to see this mirror in front of you, because Aries is the face. It's like, yeah, here I am. And then Taurus is the mirror. And sometimes people are like, oh, no, I can't look at myself. I can't. So also, if you have anxiety about your weight, about your body, about looking yourself in the mirror, don't worry about this. It's very quote unquote normal in the modern age, which is preposterous to say. But we've been groomed to believe that since the 1960s or so, 1950s. Later in life, I feel we'll know a little bit more about this human phenomena of constantly questioning what the body is and being obsessed about its curves and its dimensions. So let's come back to this. Why don't we just feel hopeful for one another and just what it is that you've got, and feeling great that it is what it is. It is what it is. My ancestors sat on the street. I've got a nice home. My ancestors, like say 5 generations ago, had to eat raw cabbage and, I don't know, drink soup from a collective bowl, from a collective pot, and they didn't have enough money to afford any lodging. They just went from town to town, you know, singing and dancing, for example. Okay, like I had ancestors that lived on the street. Personally, yes, I did. So then you kind of like come back, yeah, um, mhm. You come back to the center point where you don't feel that bad. And then you understand that just having a house, you know, having a partner who's nice to you is bigger than all of these unnecessary thoughts and actions. And if you don't feel fear, if you catch yourself on like laziness or obsession or debauchery or addiction or anything, pull yourself back into this feeling of appreciation and gratitude for what life has presented you, so that you don't go out of this world doing crazy stuff, so that you don't buy unnecessary wares, so you don't do unnecessary things, and then also you don't disturb the peace of other people, because it's repetitive behavior, I'm saying, for a lot of people, knocking about and trying to grab at other people's energy or their tailcoats and trying to be somebody that you cannot be. So it's just about non-disturbance and also being able to afford simple things within which there are big, beautiful choices to be made later on in life. Simple living is not ugly, it's not common, it's not gross or derogatory. Simple, clean living is the reason why you've come here, maybe what you wanted to be. Not that many people come here to rule and to run things and to control armies of people. Most of us just did this. We just lived our life and we just had our simple everyday things happen because we are valuable also to this environment. Imagine human beings being valuable, of value to the earth. We are also valuable. We give something that no other animal or species of life can give. We also share consciously. We have conscious information flow. We don't have maybe all of it, but we used to. We used to be smarter than this. We used to be kinder than this. We used to have grace about us before the kings and the knights destroyed it all. So we've had a lot of different ideas and feelings and personalities and presence that we cannot actually fully speak yet of, but it is an awakening that we're experiencing, and exposing ourselves to new chemicals and information and people and experiences and traveling and organizing differently a little bit. We're trying to find that root system and the network of souls that used to be here before it all went to do its little thing. So before it went noisy, we had harmony, you know. So what to give? If you're like really witchy and stuff, if you're like a warlock, why not just give some love to the ancestors? You can light a candle or a fire, or you can imagine, you can even remember Odin or I don't know, Osiris or something like that, whatever you like. You can give back to the predecessors and say thank you for having me, inevitably. And then eventually that puts things into a beautiful spell. So manifestations on this moon, if you're a witchy type, as I'm sure whoever's listening still and hasn't hung up is. And if you're a witchy type, if you can withstand the pressure of talking to me this whole time, it's really nice to grow something or somebody else from this nice, simple seed. I kept the seed in my pocket. Nobody knew I had it. And I'm going to plant it in the earth now. Nobody sees me speak. Nobody knows. You know, it's like I'm going to be planted here. Or like I am going to plant this idea here. These are special freaking seeds. These are special ideas. These are special silent family heirlooms. They are silent love locks. Love locks. You know, these are specialist, maybe even silenced experiences. These are secrets. Sometimes they stay in the vault. They are very nice, calm, and sensitive ideas that don't need to be paraded in front of all town. You don't have to grieve anything maybe anymore. If you're at the point where you're like, oh my gosh, this game, this life, you know, wow, this like got me too far. And especially if you're now understanding you've been playing with the devil. So for example, you know, oh gosh, I was competing so much, or oh, I had this guy and he had a wife and I was like trying to get him, oh, it was so crazy, or like I wanted my kids to respect me more than anybody. Oh my gosh, I had all of these crazies. I had the crazy. Now you come to a point of sanity and clarity. You understand you only need as much as this. You don't need 5 vehicles in your house. You don't need 3 water fountains. You don't need a giant collection of friends. You don't need to do anything like this. You just need to basically keep things normal and collective. So in this feeling is an heirloom seed. In this heirloom seed that has nothing to do with the crisis outside. It is impenetrable. It will never be broken. And it will never be part of this giant fire that is happening in certain parts of the world. It is not going to corrupt. It is not going to give a bad seedling. It's not going to manage itself badly. It's not going to do any harm. It's going to do no wrong. So this is about saintly sanity. So it's about a sane idea. It's about crystalline, simple, unquestionable deeds. It is about long-term economic growth. It is about healthy, simple children. It's about having ways to meet your demand or your needs without going overboard. It's about sanity. Sanity. It's about cleanliness, sanitary. Yeah, cleanliness. And it's also about being simple. It's about, being a good doer sometimes. It is about recycling and helping the village clean up some of the time. It could be also. And it's also about doing no wrong. Some of your behavior, some of your ideas or some of your missions may come from a time long gone. It's not about running around. It's not about being extra on some TV commercial anymore. It's about simplicity and then making a very easy lifetime through simple godly plans, godly, whatever God you like, simplicity, you know, maybe in service to the greater world. Maybe it has sustainability in mind. Maybe it has wisdom in mind. Maybe it is ancient. It comes from a certain pact that you have with nature yourself or your guides. And then this means something. It has a meaning. It has all of your senses together. It has all of your networks. It has all of those environments that are actually true and just for you. It has all of those things. It has all of those aspects. It has every single person involved already before it's even planted. It's about automated good behavior. It's about good bugs. It's about kombucha, you know. It's about probiotics. It's about having a good brand that can go even further than you can. It's about having good, wholesome lifetime plans. Maybe family planning, maybe it's community planning, maybe it's going abroad for some people and actually thinking what else you can be or what else you can do. And it's just about sanity being a big, massive part of why you are here and no longer being part of the chaos that the world is about to swing into. So it's not about spending and buying and doing blah, blah, blah. It's not about like drug taking and like crazy missions. You know, it's not about being a judgmental person either. It's not about pushing for or against. It's just about having a certain type of divine creativity that takes you a step further. So like if you're thinking, when am I going to, you know, build my off-grid home? For some people, maybe. When am I going to have a family? When am I going to really give a part of me to the future? You know, when am I going to tell people the story? Or when am I going to fully fulfill that part of me within? then there's God. There's God. It's holy. There is a holy aspect of it, and it has a certain type of wisdom. And then also it has a certain clarity, and it is like an impenetrable fortress. It's an impenetrable force. Nobody can knock it down. Nobody can tell you how. Nobody can tell you why. It's like a very beautiful whole energy. It's like a whole number. It's like a whole story. It's total within itself. It's imperishable and it's non-corruptible. So that's what we're looking for. So it's kind of like an orb. And it has all that it wants already from inside. It is holy. It is whole from inside, which is what we are moving towards. Thank you very much. I hope that you had an interesting time with me. Salute to the people that are learning how to escape chaos and not be inside missions that they don't need to be inside. And also those of us that really care. Really care. So thank you very much. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time. And have a look at my Patreon also if you like.